The Great Dismal Swamp is a marshy area in the coastal plain region of southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina, between Norfolk, Virginia, and Elizabeth City, North Carolina. It is located in parts of the southern Virginia independent cities of Chesapeake and Suffolk and northern North Carolina counties of Gates, Pasquotank, and Camden. It is a southern swamp, one of many along the Atlantic Ocean's coast, including the Everglades and Big Cypress Swamp in Florida, the Okefenokee Swamp in Georgia, the Congaree and Four Holes Swamps of South Carolina, and some of the Carolina Bays in the Carolinas and Georgia. Along the eastern edge runs the Dismal Swamp Canal, completed in 1805. It is one of the last large wild areas remaining in the eastern United States. The Great Dismal Swamp National Wildlife Refuge was created in 1973 when the Union Camp Corporation of Franklin, Virginia, donated 49,100 acres of land after centuries of logging and other human activities devastated the swamp's ecosystems. The refuge was officially established through the Dismal Swamp Act of 1974. The refuge consists of over 112,000 acres of forested wetlands. Lake Drummond, a 3,100-acre natural lake, is located in the heart of the swamp. The lake, a remarkably circular body of water, is one of only two natural lakes in Virginia, outside the boundaries of the refuge. The state of North Carolina has preserved and protected additional portions of the swamp through the establishment of the Dismal Swamp State Park. The park protects 22 square miles of forested wetland. History. The origin of Lake Drummond, one of only two natural lakes in Virginia, is not entirely clear as there is no apparent network of natural streams emptying into the lake. Archaeological evidence suggests varying cultures of humans have inhabited the swamp for 13,000 years. In 1650, Algonquin-speaking Native Americans of coastal tribes lived in the swamp. In 1665, William Drummond, the first governor of North Carolina, was the first European recorded as discovering the swamp's lake, which was subsequently named for him. In 1728, William Byrd, too, while leading a land survey to establish a boundary between the Virginia and North Carolina colonies, made many observations of the swamp, none of them favorable. He is credited with naming it the Dismal Swamp. Settlers did not appreciate the ecological importance of wetlands. In 1763, George Washington visited the area, and he and others founded the Dismal Swamp Company in a venture to drain the swamp and clear it for settlement. The company later turned to the more profitable goal of timber harvesting. Several African American Maroon Societies lived in the Great Dismal Swamp during early American history. These Great Dismal Swamp Maroons consisted of black refugee slaves who had escaped to seek safety and liberty. The swamp's role in the history of slavery in the United States is reflected in Harriet Beecher Stowe's second novel, Dread, A Tale of the Great Dismal Swamp. The Underground Railroad Education Pavilion, an exhibit set up to educate visitors about the fugitive slaves who lived in the swamp, was opened February 24, 2012. The Dismal Swamp Canal was authorized by Virginia in 1787 and by North Carolina in 1790. Construction began in 1793 and was completed in 1805. The canal, as well as a railroad constructed through part of the swamp in 1830, enabled the harvest of timber. The canal deteriorated after the Albemarle-Chesapeake Canal was completed in 1858. In 1929, the U.S. government bought the Dismal Swamp Canal and began to improve it. The canal is now the oldest operating artificial waterway in the country. Like the Albemarle and Chesapeake canals, it is part of the Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway Preservation. In the mid-20th century, conservation groups across the United States began demanding the preservation of the remaining Great Dismal Swamp and restoration of its wetlands, by then understood as critical habitat for a wide variety of birds, animals, plants and other living things. This area is along the Atlantic flyway of migrating species. In 1973, the Union Camp Corporation, a paper company based in Franklin, Virginia, with large land holdings in the area, donated just over 49,000 acres of land to the Nature Conservancy, which the following year transferred the property to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The Great Dismal Swamp National Wildlife Refuge was officially established by the U.S. Congress through the Dismal Swamp Act of 1974. The refuge consists of almost 107,000 acres of forested wetlands, including the 3,100-acre Lake Drummond at its center. The refuge's resource management programs aim to restore and maintain the natural biological diversity that once existed in the swamp, including its water resources, native vegetation communities, and wildlife species. Water control structures in the ditches help conserve and manage water, while forest management activities that simulate the ecological effects of wildfires are used to restore and maintain plant diversity. Wildlife is managed by ensuring the presence of required habitats, with hunting used to balance in wildlife populations with available food supplies. Today, the Great Dismal Swamp National Wildlife Refuge lies wholly within the Middle Atlantic coastal forests ecoregion. The refuge harbors a wide range of plant and animal species. Bald cypress, tupelo, maple, Atlantic white cypress, and pine, among other tree species found on the refuge, support the fauna within. The swamp is home to many mammals, including black bear, bobcat, otter, and weasel, as well as over 70 species of reptiles and amphibians. More than 200 bird species can be seen within the swamp throughout the year. 96 of these are known to nest in the refuge. Lake Drummond is the center of activity in the swamp today, attracting fishermen, sightseers, and boaters. Camping is not allowed on the refuge, but it is allowed on the Lake Drummond Reservation, the Corps of Engineers site, located at the Feeder Ditch Spillway. Access to this site is possible only by boat.